All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Tuesday evening as we delve further into faith above reason, as you're following probably also in the morning lessons too. But going over these articles is always good for us as we're going through a lot of things during the day, ups and downs, as we should be, and we need to know how to manage them. And the only way to manage them is to build a perfect approach, a good approach. And the way to build it is actually to go over the materials that teach us how to look at things. So with things that are beyond our control, obviously there's nothing we can do, right? For the things that we cannot control. But for those that we can, which is putting ourselves into a good environment, will allow us to actually learn things and to start to look at things from a different perspective. And this is exactly what the Wisdom of Kabbalah is teaching us. So today we're going to carry on with the faith above reason. We're going to carry on with item number 22, and we're going to delve into these texts to see how we can relate to all the states that we're going through in our spiritual work together. So let's read together. We must know that it is a lot of work before we attain the quality of bina, right? That's the quality of bestowal. That is, to be content with little, with his feeling and his mind, and be happy with his share, with what he has. That person can always be in wholeness because he's happy with his share. But what can one do if he has not yet obtained this quality? And he sees that he cannot overcome his will to receive. At that time, he must pray to the Creator to help him so he can go in the work with his eyes shut, and will not need anything, and will be able to do everything for the sake of the Creator, despite the resistance of the body to this. That is, he does not tell the Creator how he should help him. Rather, he must subjugate himself and annul before the Creator unconditionally. But since he cannot overcome his body, he asks the Creator to help him win the war against the inclination. All right, so there are a few good points that we should pick up from here, right? A lot of people pray to the Creator, they turn to the Creator, and they pray for something very, common. They have a problem and they'd like the Creator to take that problem away. Okay, and the Kabbalists are saying, listen, that's not a good thing to pray for because you're getting the problem from the Creator in the first place anyway. I mean, what good is it if you're asking for the Creator to take the problem away when he is the source of the problem? Okay, who's the problem? Who's bringing me the problem? The Creator is bringing me the problem. Why? Because he wants to grow us. He wants to raise us. So how do I need to approach that situation? Well, it doesn't matter what I'm getting in life. Important is how I'm relating to what I get in life. So that relation to what I'm getting is the important thing. All right. And if we can focus on that, rather than saying, listen, I've got a problem, take it away, make it go away, make it disappear. Instead of saying that, if I can say, well, you know what, I need to overcome this. If you can help me to see or give me the strength and the mind or the wisdom to see how I can juggle around it so I can actually attain what I'm supposed to attain through this exercise. Because we get problems, the kind of exercises that we need to go through. As you know, this world comes and goes. It's transient. Okay, so it's like a dream. So the only thing we can really do around here is actually try to get the right perspective and the right perception of reality so we can develop ourselves to our next anticipated degree, which is to have a higher level of consciousness. So always trying to run away from problems and trying to get rid of problems without really focusing on the source of the problem and the purpose of the problem will not help us. Okay, so let's say I have a problem in my life and I don't know what to do with it either. That's not a bad thing. If we knew how to do everything anyway, we'd never need the Creator. So having a problem, not knowing what to do with it, being confused is all good to turn to the Creator, but not to take the problem away, to help me to overcome so I can actually advance in spirituality, so I can actually move forward in spirituality, so I can actually get what I need to get from this situation. That's what we need to focus on. Okay. So whatever happens, we just go with whatever happens, and we're going to need help, obviously. And that's the time to turn to the Creator to help us raise ourselves above the problem, and despite the problem, carry on in our spiritual endeavor. Item number 23. If there are any questions, let me know. If there aren't, currently there isn't, but you can always ask a question and we'll do our best to answer. Now, item number 23. This is from Rabash. In faith, we should make 3 discernments. 1, for example, if a person gives to his friend $1,000 and the person accepts it, and he's completely sure and believes, since this man is my friend and a meticulous person, so if he gives the money, there must be 1,000 there, and there's no need to count. This is called faith below reason. In other words, he believes him because his reason does not object to what he believes, meaning there is no contradiction between believing him and the reason. It follows that to him, faith is below reason. And the reason is more important. That is, he believes him because reason does not object. However, if this is in contrast to reason, he will probably not believe. This is still not regarded as faith above reason. 2, he tells him, here's $1,000, and the receiver counts it 3 times and sees that there is the stated amount there and says to the giver, I believe you that there is that amount here as you say. Certainly, this does not count as faith. 3, so if it's not faith and if it's not below reason, what is that? It's reason. Okay, so my reason, I counted it, it's $1,000, and it's my reasoning saying that, yeah, it's $1,000. And number 3, he counts the $1,000 3 times. They count it 3 times because that's the tradition, all right? So that's why he's saying 3 times. He counts the 1,000 3 times and sees that $1 is missing. But he says to the giver, I believe you that there is $1,000 here. Even though the reason and the intellect say that there is less here. He says that he believes. This is called true above reason. All right? Does that make sense? It shouldn't make sense. Why? This is why you have to go above reason. If it made sense to me, it would be within reason. Okay? If I blindly believe, if it's below reason. If I count and say, well, there's $1,000 missing, that's within reason. Okay? No, I counted it, checked, there's a dollar missing, okay? But I counted it and I checked and I say, yep, it's 1,000, it's all good. That's above reason. Why? Because I made the check, I did the check. I didn't blindly believe. I checked it and I understand there's a dollar missing, but I take it as it is complete. What does that mean? It means that my friend did his best to make that $1,000 and I will accept it as such. Okay? And that's faith above reason. That he did the best he could. So how do we translate this into our work? So we have to take it above reason that all our friends are doing their best to bring into the group the best that they can. And even if my eyes do not see it as such, I believe that they are doing their best. And that's above reason. All right? It's not a very easy example, but there we go. That's Rabash. Okay, he's good. He's very good. 24. We must believe in the sages who tell us that all our work, however we work, if the creator, person attributes the work to the creator. Sorry, let me read that again. We must believe in the sages who tell us that all our work, however we work, if the person attributes the work to the creator, even if it is in utter lowliness, the creator enjoys it. The person should be happy that he can do things while in a state of lowliness. The person should tell himself that he enjoys this work, which is entirely above reason, reasonably thinking. This work is not considered work, meaning an important act that the creator enjoys. Yet he believes in the sages who told us that the creator does enjoy, but this is above reason. All right, so above reason means I'm taking the reason of somebody else and placing it above my reason. Okay, we do this in corporeal reality as well, right? When we are growing up, we take the reason of our parents, despite the fact that we don't understand what they're telling us, right? We do it above reason and we take it for a fact. Why? Because we trust them, they're our parents and so forth. You can do this with a lawyer as well, or with a doctor, right? You go to the doctor and the doctor says, listen, your situation is this. Even though you don't see it, this is the diagnosis that I'm doing. And if you want to get better, then these are the things you need to do. Okay. So what do? You either go above reason and believe the doctor, or you can say, you know what, I want to do this within reason. So how can you do that within reason? You're not a doctor. Well, you can go to medical school and spend 5-6 years learning it, and then you can diagnose yourself, in which at that time you could end up dead. Okay? So that would be trying to figure it out within reason. So in life as well, we go above reason. This is nothing, this is nothing mystical. We're always doing it because we're using the mind and the wisdom of somebody else. Same in spirituality, right? So now we've got Kabbalists. So they're like a doctor for the soul, okay? So until I become a Kabbalist, I'm obviously not gonna, understand what they're saying properly to me. However, they're saying, listen, if you do your best, despite the fact that you feel, there's no taste in the work, despite the fact that you feel you're like, not motivated, you're not doing this full-heartedly, we know what you're going through, all right? You're going through a rough state and you're doing all this because, you're dragging your feet along and you don't want to really do it, and it's fine. But even in that situation, the Creator understands your state, and He still values your work. He values it a lot because you're doing it despite the fact that you don't really want to do it. Okay? So something like that. Despite the fact that I don't want to do my homework, but I sit down and do it, and my parents know I don't like doing my homework, but they see me doing it, they get pleasure from it. It's the same thing. This world is a copycat. Okay, so we just have to see it a little deeper to understand. All right, so at the end of the day, what are we learning in the Wisdom of Kabbalah? Right, we're learning the relationship between us and how to translate that relationship in a certain way so that we can also have a relationship with the Creator, right? So our current situation is egoism and it's self-love. So we're always trying to get something from the world for ourselves. And if we live in that situation, obviously we're not going to feel the Creator. We're only going to feel ourselves because I want to take everything for me. However, if we do a little flip and look at things a little differently, and say, well, you know what, I'm going to, according to the recommendation and the advice that I get from the Kabbalists, they're saying, listen, if you live like this, you're only going to feel your little life inside like a little cockroach in a matchbox. Okay? Because that's how it is. But if you try to get out of yourself and build this relationship of love and bestowal with other people outside of you, then because your thought process, your intentions, and your desires are working towards the fulfillment of others, not yourself, right? Then you have the ability to feel something else that is outside of you rather than you feeling your life living within you, right? So by building this relationship within the group, with the friends, I'm actually giving myself the opportunity to feel also the creator. Because at the end of the day, if all my sensory organs are absorbing like sponge within, and if I'm now changing the way I operate towards the outside like the creator, then I'm going to have a mutual point of connection with the creator. Now, the reason the work is so disheartening to a person as he or she moves forward is because it's against our desire. Because if we saw that we were going to get something when we work and study the wisdom of Kabbalah all the time, we'd be running more and more to work, to do it, right? Because we see what we're getting. Like going to work, I go to work and I get money and I enjoy it, or I go to work and I like my job and I get fulfillment from it. So I keep doing it. So if we were to work like that, then we'd never get out of our egos. So working despite the fact that I don't want to do it, right? Within, I don't have a desire to do it, but I'm still working, is a key element, because when you work like that, that's called you've exerted effort. If I was doing everything wholeheartedly, yeah, I want to do it and all that, that doesn't count as effort. No, effort means I'm doing something when I don't want to do something. Okay, because if I already want to do something, it's not effort. I'm like running around doing it. You know, what effort is that? Okay. It's not effort. Effort is when I'm working against my desire to receive. And that's the effort that counts. And that's the effort that the Creator is enjoying. All right, so we need to understand what effort means. All right, then. Yannick is asking, what about being within reason as to make sure the environment and teachings don't get tergiversed? Well, if I haven't attained spirituality, how can I check? How can I check $1,000 if it's there or not if I don't know how to count yet? Okay, so it can't really happen. This is why there's only one rule for checking. You come, you study, and if your heart feels like it's at the right place because it's getting answers, it's getting this inner fulfillment, then they say that's the right place for you to work. If it's not, you got to keep searching to find the right place. Because at the end of the day, think about it. We're egoists. So we're always wanting to interpret everything from our beneficial perspective. So I'm always going to find something wrong with whatever I study. With the wisdom of Kabbalah, with religion, with yoga, with whatever, you'll always find something to complain about. And you'll always feel that somebody else is, really doing something wrong. So how should you really look at it? Well, you should look at it from the perspective of, well, I don't care what others are doing. I care about what I'm doing to reach the goal. Isn't that correct? Okay, so this is why if my friends, for example, are not putting their 100%, in my eyes, they're not putting their 100%. I can either sit and complain, or I can say to myself, well, I don't have control over other people. They're going to do what they can do. I'm going to do what I can do. Like I said, just in the beginning of the lesson as well, I can't worry about the things I can't control. I need to focus on what I can control. Okay? And what I can control is participation in an environment where I can calculate, where I can envision my next step. That is what I can do. Anything else I can't do. I don't know. Anything can happen. So we've got to start looking at it from the perspective of what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, and where I want to get to. So all of these questions really lie with me. Okay. And obviously, if a teaching doesn't, sound right to you, or it doesn't kind of settle in you, you need to look for something else. You need to look for something else. The only proper check for the right place is if your heart feels like it's at the right place. That's the only check. Okay. And then if you really study the wisdom of Kabbalah, and then later on you'll feel like you want to run away, okay? But you'll feel like, yeah, I do want to get away. I do want to run away. I don't want to do this for sure, but I can't think of anything else to do. And that's how you study the wisdom of Kabbalah. You understand, first of all, you're studying yourself. You understand that you're evaluating yourself in reality, in creation. And you understand that you either got to do this or, it's just going to be another life gone by. Life isn't very complicated with the wisdom of Kabbalah. It's very practical. I'm either going to carry on living like this and end up dead, okay? Or I'm gonna transform myself into something new. I see there's just that's it. So let's read number 25. A person should say that although he is in utter lowliness, meaning he's still immersed in self-love and still cannot do anything above reason, the Creator still gave him a thought and desire to engage in Torah and mitzvot, right? Torah and mitzvot is the wisdom of Kabbalah for us. Torah is the teaching, or it's also called light. And mitzvot are the principles that we follow. And has also given him some strength to be able to overcome the spies who speak to him and poke his mind with their arguments. And still he has some grip on spirituality. At that time, a person should pay attention to this and believe that the Creator is tending to him and guides him on the track that leads to the king's palace. It follows that he should be happy that the Creator is watching over him and gives him the descents as well. Right, so there's a few things we can pick up from here as well. A person should say that although he's in utter lowliness, right, complete misery, doesn't want to study the wisdom of Kabbalah at all, wants to run away. Meaning he's still immersed in self-love, just want me, okay? I want me and mini-me to be filled with everything. And still cannot do anything above reason. And I'm stuck in my desire to receive. It's causing me aggravation. That's why I'm feeling lowly, right? That's the lowliness of self-reception. You feel like it's drowning you, and like you can't do anything about it. So you feel pretty bad, okay? And what should we do? And you still cannot do anything above reason, but the Creator still gave him a thought and a desire to engage in Torah and mitzvah. So on the one hand, you are absolutely, drained in self-love, right? You're stuck in the mud. And on the other hand, well, I still want to study, okay? So you're in this little dilemma. So you got like somebody pulling from one arm that way, somebody's pulling your other arm the other way, and you're like stuck in between. Okay, and you're not about to split at the moment. So, and has also given him some strength to be able to overcome the spies. So inside of me, there are spies who are always talking against the work, against the friends, against the study, against the Rav, against the Creator, against the whole world. Let's forget, that kind of thing. And still, the Creator is giving you some strength to overcome this nagging that's occurring in you. And they poke your mind with their arguments. And still, he has some grip on spirituality. Why? Because he's holding on to the group. Okay, once he's got no group, then it's end game. Game over. At that time, a person should pay attention to this. He should understand what he's going through. That's what it's talking about. In spirituality, as we advance, we don't want to be just flowing like a dry leaf in the currents of a river. We want to understand what we're going through. How? If I'm constantly in the work, in the study. Okay? So at that time, a person should pay attention to this. So I'm paying attention to the states that I'm going through. And believe that the Creator is tending to him. Why? Because the Creator is making me aware of the situation. All right? So I'm looking at myself from the outside. I'm understanding what I'm going through. Still want to engage in spirituality despite the fact that I feel pretty bad about myself right now. However, the Creator is giving me the ability to look at this situation I'm in from a different perspective. And that's great because he's holding my hand and showing me the truth. What else does he say here? And believe that the Creator is tending to him, right? He's looking after us and guides him on the track that leads to the king's palace. Why? Because he makes me see the truth. That in me, I have no desire to do this work. And on the other hand, I've got the point in the heart who says, "I'll go on, stick around a little bit more." So I'm left in this dilemma, but the Creator allows me to discern this dilemma. So he's allowing me to see the truth. On the one hand, I see the state I'm in. On the other hand, I feel the necessity to go forward. And this two-sided opposing views are very important, and we need to maintain them in the wisdom of Kabbalah. So we'll grow in between two opposite states all the time. It follows that he should be happy that the Creator is watching over him and gives him the descents as well. Because why should we be happy when we're going through a rough time? Well, simply because that's when we grow. This is exactly when we grow. So the Creator giving us the descent, also helping us to observe the situation, then that's awesome, because now we can actually see the truth. And remember, the wisdom of Kabbalah is known as the wisdom of truth. So one who studies should see the truth. The wisdom of Kabbalah isn't, talking about getting pleasures in our desire to receive and making a great corporeal life here for ourselves. Well, we can also do that as well, but only after we attain spirituality. Why? So we come to balance with nature. That is really happiness. So receiving all the happiness, the joy, and everything we can, but without understanding the truth, we'll be like little dumb kids, right? Like mature people who are like dumb kids. That's what I'm talking about. And the Creator obviously wants to raise us. He wants us to understand what the reality is and how we need to, from this bad reality, then can think about how we can change our miserable life, this desire to receive that we're living in. We're constantly destroying the world, we're destroying our own lives. And then how we can come from this bad state into a positive state, how we can shift. Right. So let's see, anything else? Patricia is asking, can a person turn into a spy without recognizing he has become one? Well, I need to recognize the state I'm in, right? If I don't recognize it, then I can't really say there's a spy in me, okay? So to recognize the situation, how can I recognize it? Well, look, if we do something consistently all the time, like, studying the wisdom, if we're doing it all the time, then I'll have from the lessons certain impressions that will show me the state I'm in. That's what the whole purpose of a lesson is for, right? We're studying the material, and the material is, giving me hints. It should talk to me. All right. So whenever I'm in a lesson, I should get something from that lesson which is telling me the state that I'm in. And that's great, because now I'm evaluating the situation. This is why they write to us, they're writing to us thousands and thousands of pages of articles. Why? Because we keep going over them. And as we go over them, we're getting something from them. And that getting something is exactly the state I'm in. So once I understand I'm in the state of spies, now I know what to do. Now I can say I need to go above reason. Okay. And that's the whole idea. So we can always turn into a spy without recognizing. What does that mean? It means like I'm checking my friends if they're doing the work or not. Right? That's like me spying on my friends. I'm looking at the guys and thinking, oh, is he doing all he can? Is she doing all she can? Let me just check if they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. That's spies. Why? Because I'm checking the work of others. And I'm not believing that the friends are doing the best they can. Furthermore, I'm not believing the fact that there's none else besides him. And also, I'm overriding the principle for which I'm working, because I should be working to get to bestow. So what do I care what others do? What do I even care if they love me or not? Okay, like we're studying the love of friends, right? If I want to, through the study, change myself to come to loving others, what do I really care if somebody loves me or not? It's irrelevant, because I want to do the change. Right? I don't want to change others. I came to the study to change me. Right? So if you look at it from that perspective, you'll always find yourselves on the right side of the analysis. Okay? And if I see people doing the wrong thing, then that's a sign for me to change something in me. So if I see they're not putting, the 100% they should be putting in, then I need to check myself and say, well, am I putting 100% in? Definitely I'm not if I'm seeing somebody who isn't. It's a fact. I see what I am in the world, and that's it. So we need to be careful on how we evaluate things. Yannick's asking, how can we measure Kabbalah's working if we can't kill the ego in connection always waxes and wanes at every stage? Well, that's the whole idea. Why do we want to kill the ego? We want to see the ego in its full glory. We want to understand exactly how bad it is. We want to understand exactly, we want to see, feel, understand, have a full comprehension of what this ego is. Because only then I can decide to kill it. What does it mean to kill it? I can decide not to use it. I have to see that my ego is causing harm to me. All right, me. If I see it's shooting me in the foot every time, then I'll want to get rid of it. Before then, I won't. That's why the majority of people complain about everybody else. Right? So the whole complaint here is that you're in the way that you're asking, the whole idea is that I should always be seeing that the ego and the connection is always leaving a scar on me every day. Nobody wants to connect. Who wants to connect? Come on. We want to have a good time in life, man. Who wants to connect? Nobody wants to connect. We're willing to connect if we feel like we're going to get pleasure from this business. And that's human nature. And so to always have a drama with the friends, with the connection and all that, it's not a bad thing. The Creator is showing us the truth. The important point here is when you're going through all the waxing and the waning and stuff, when you're going through that stuff, you need to understand that, I shouldn't leave now, because now I'm beginning to reveal the truth. I'm beginning to reveal what state I'm in, how I don't like it, how I disregard everyone. I don't care about anyone except me. And I begin to see that. And the connection's hard as well, despite the fact that you might not see your ego and you might feel like you're doing your best and everything. And you might see the friends are not. Even if you see the world in that way, like you're self-righteous. And even if you are right, let's say you're 100% right. So what? So what? At the end of the day, we have to move forward to the next step. And the next step is always going to be after a hurdle. Even when we're climbing stairs, I'm having to go up. I have to go through this effort of going up and pushing. Life is like that with every step. So the connection, stressing us out, giving us a bit of tension here and there, it's not a bad thing. It's an opportunity for us to decipher what other little details are hiding in my egoistic nature. So this kind of stuff is very important. It's good that you're going through all this stuff. If you're not going through this kind of stuff, then that's the problem, if you're not going through this stuff. Because then you're like studying without any feelings. You're not going through emotions. And when you don't go through emotions, you're like a rock. That's it. No feelings, no sensations, nothing. In the wisdom of Kabbalah, we want to go through a lot of waxing and waning. That's for sure. Right? We want to go through all that stuff. Why? That's the thing that makes us human. We feel aggressive. We feel ticked off, angry, upset. We're going through a lot of heavy emotions, but it's this constant turmoil within. And this is the thing that allows you to be born. It's like birth pains. You're constantly in this birth pain. Imagine being constantly in birth pain. I can't imagine, obviously, but just think about it. Right? Just constant until you're born, and that's it. So it's good that we are going through this stuff, and we should. Patricia's asking, got it. Never trust myself till the day I die, right? Well, yeah. Exactly. How can you? How can any of us? I mean, when I say you, I'm talking about all of us. As long as we have a little bit of egoism left in us still, a little minute bit, the smallest bit, you can never trust yourself. Even if you're 99.99% corrected, that little 0.01, that's enough to wreck everything. That's why you can never trust yourself. Yes, that's good. That's nice. Okay, let's read a little bit more. This topic is really good. This topic is really good because it allows us to evaluate what we're going through and what to do with ourselves. Right? This is why faith above reason is this is how we go through the study and everything we do in the wisdom of Kabbalah day by day. This is how we live. Right? Faith above reason. Okay, so 26, right? We're at 26. Did we read 26 or we're going to read? Okay, we haven't read it yet. So 26. A person should believe as much as he can understand that the Creator is giving him the Ascents, since certainly a person cannot say that he himself receives the Ascents, but the Creator wants to bring him closer. This is why he gives him the Ascent. Right, so there's some good news. We do have some ascents in the work. Also, a person should believe that the Creator gives him the descents as well, because he wants to bring him closer. Therefore, every single thing that he can do, he must do as though he's in a state of ascent. Therefore, when he overcomes a little during the descent, it's called an awakening from below. Each act that he does, he believes that it is the Creator's will. And by this itself, he is rewarded with greater nearing, meaning that the person himself begins to feel that the Creator has brought him closer. All right, so this is nice. Whether you're going through an ascent or a descent, the Creator wants to help. Okay, so in all situations that we're going through, the Creator wants to help. That's nice to hear and know, isn't it? Okay, so in any case, what should we do when we're going through an ascent? Well, add to the work, right? So when we're going through ascent, when we're in an elevated situation, we should find where we can add work, because now we've got energy, right? We've got some boost. So through that boost, I can do some more work. I can look for places to work. I should not waste the ascents. All right. Sometimes I see people, they're all in this happy mood, like on cloud 9. Okay. But that's not a really good idea if you just let it go on cloud 9. All right. So if you're feeling like you're in an ascent, make sure you add something to the work. Stick your head in there. Do something for the friends. Read something extra. Do something to add to your spirituality. Because why? Now, when you're in an ascent, right? When you're in an ascent, you've got the capacity to sponge up more. So specifically when you're in ascent, if you're doing dissemination, if you're reading a lot, if you're listening to lessons again, if you're going over things, right? In an ascent, it's good because it allows you to now absorb more. You're in this ascent. And the descent is also help. Now, the ascent is allowing you to add, right? So you got bigger aviyut, you got bigger coarseness, right? You want to get more, all right? So now you can add. Now, when you're in a descent, you feel like you're being slapped around a little bit here, right? Now, that is good because now you've got inner observation, all right? So you're working on both sides. So you should have that and that together, okay? Now, the descents are always more than the ascents, okay? So it may look like it's a little unbalanced, but that's not the case. It's never unbalanced. The descents are precisely where you got inner discernments, inner observation, inner evaluation. It allows you to maneuver. With the ascents, you can add more to your knowledge. So you can like when you have this big hunger, right? You want to eat more. Right? Especially when you've got this egoism growing in you, you want to eat more and move forward, right? And that's how it is. So when you're in an ascent, adding to the work, studying more, doing more is absolutely crucial. It's very crucial because that is giving you the opportunity now, when you descend, you will use that wisdom to work with the descent. All right? Okay, that's how it works, right? It's common sense. Okay, so the Creator gives me the elevation. I put some work into it. And when I descend, I use the work to get out of the descent. If I let the ascent go and use it like a joyride, then when I'm in a descent, obviously that's not going to work out very well, is it? Right? Why? Because I don't have now the knowledge to deal with the descent. It's a problem. Right? This is why the study needs to be consistent. Right? So every day we should feel like in the lesson, for example, or when we're studying or whenever you're studying, right? You should feel like the study is elevating you, right? Then you're going to take that elevation and then you're going to go into the work, right? And then going into the work and using everything you've learned to deal with life, in our spiritual life, that is, okay? All right. So let's read one more. 27. When he began to work, there had to be some pleasure and reward for which the body agreed to this work. All right, this is classic. Right? So when a person comes to the wisdom of Kabbalah, they're always having this pleasure. They're always like, yeah, they're in a happy, good mood. All right? Happy birds kind of thing. Afterwards, when he was permitted to see that there is the matter for the sake of the Creator, because a commandment induces a commandment, and he had to ask to be delivered from exile, then he runs from the exile. So a person, when he first comes, he or she is rather elevated. Everything is great. I'm getting answers to my questions. I feel great now. My life has a meaning now. I have a meaningful life. Wonderful. And then the Kabbalah starts saying, well, you want some meaning? Yes, great. You have to love other people and stop loving yourself. Well, I'm like, wait a minute. What is that? How's that work? Okay. So now I'm going through a bit of a descent, aren't I? Okay. So that's like, because nobody wants to do that work. Well, that's how it is. So in the beginning, he does or she does agree to the work because it's all nice. And you study a little bit and you're thinking, wait a minute, this is tricky business. How does he run from the exile? It's by saying that he will not succeed in this work. So the person, right, doesn't want to do it. So they run away. Thus, what does he do? He puts himself to death, meaning leaves the work and returns to corporeal life, which is regarded as the wicked in their lives are called dead. Well, like I said a minute ago, right? You can only live two ways. You're either going to live like you living, like with everybody else, and you're going to end up dead, right? No escape from death, unfortunately. Or you can get spiritual. And that's it. There are no other options. So it follows that where he should have asked for redemption from exile. So when I'm feeling in a descent, and I feel like I don't want to do this work, that's when I'm feeling like I'm in an exile. Then he should have asked for redemption from exile. I should have asked the Creator to give me a hand. Okay. He runs from the exile and puts himself to death. This is as it is written, the ways of the Lord are straight. The righteous will walk them, and transgressors will fail in them. However, he should go above reason. A descent in spirituality does not mean that now he has no faith. Rather, now he must do more work. And the previous faith is considered a descent compared to this work. All right, so I have to add to the work. That's very important. All right, this is another reason why we work day by day. Why? Because every day I'm like putting a coin into the basket there. All right, I'm just adding another coin into the piggy bank or, whatever. So I'm putting some more every day, and it accumulates. And despite the fact that it might be a little, tasteless, dry, and may not feel very motivated doing it, we have to go above reason, like with the work example. I may not feel like I like my work, but hey, got to pay the rent. That's how it is. That's how life works. It's always against our desire. All right, so we have to go above reason, that despite the fact that this is how it is, with respect to our previous state, which was an ascent, my current state now, which is a descent, is higher than the previous ascent. So that's an important principle to learn as well. Okay, my previous state of ascent is less important when compared to my current work within the descent. Does that make sense? All right, good. We want to have some sense in our work. Right, then, all the best to all of you. Hopefully we'll meet again next Tuesday. Are there any questions before we go? No, I think it's all good. So we've answered everything. All right, have a great Tuesday night or day, depending where you are on the planet. And hopefully, God willing, without any problems from above, we shall meet again next week. All the best. Bye-bye.